Hello and welcome to the BSI Demo. We thank you for your interest in our product. First, I would like to tell you a little bit about BSI. BSI is a powerful web-based specimen management software. It has been in production since 1998 and has been evolving ever since. The system is used by government agencies, biorepositories, hospitals, universities, and pharmaceutical companies. BSI is a very flexible and scalable product. It works well for organizations with a single repository and just a few users, as well as organizations with multiple repositories and hundreds of users. The system is CFR 21 Part 11 HIPAA, HITECH, and FDCC compliant. Today we will demonstrate a few of BSI's key features and popular modules. First, we will discuss the BSI dashboard, which is available when you log into the system. Users may display different types of widgets depending on their needs, and the dashboard can be personalized for every user. As you can see here, I have a few different widgets displayed, including this pie chart, which displays different material types in my database, and this data entry assigned to me widget, which includes live links to different pieces of work assigned to me, so I can click them, open them up, and complete my work straight from this manager. Now let's jump into our next module, Locations. The Locations Manager is used to handle the specification and management of freezer systems. This module also provides other features such as finding, reserving, and assigning available specimen locations within a freezer, as well as transferring the location of specimens. Containers are organized into tree structures, which can be expanded to view subcontainers, for example, a box within a rack. Multiple repositories can have their own unique location trees, and the containers within this are user configurable. So let's go ahead and add a box to rack A. Here we need to select a container type, so we can pull up this list. This is another user configurable list, so you can expand upon it yourself. If you have cabinets or drawers or unique box sizes, BSI can definitely accommodate for that. So let's go ahead and select a 9x9 box and give the box an ID. Go ahead with 20 and select a row and column format. This is going to establish what the assignment spaces are for the specimens within the box. So we can go ahead and save this new container, and it automatically appears within BSI within this location hierarchy. If we go to the box layout, we can see that it's an empty 9x9 box. The nice thing about locations in particular is that there are a lot of right mouse button options available. So if we right click on the box itself, you can see right mouse button options related to the box. For example, you can reserve a container for a study, or condense specimens, or run a contents report. And then if we right click on some of the specimens within this box, you can view information about the specimens, report on them, edit them, or process them in a requisition. The other thing I want to point out about this box layout is that the information within the cells here, this is another user configurable item. You can decide what information is the most important to you and choose to display it for each specimen within the box. So let's go back to that box that we created and go ahead and add some specimens to the box by highlighting a few spaces, right-clicking, and adding specimens. This opens up a data entry batch, which is where you can enter your specimen data. Each row in this table is a unique specimen, and each column here represents a different data point that is being tracked. You can see here that some values are already filled out. This is for two reasons. One, we selected certain spaces within the Locations Manager, so these are already assigned. And two, I have applied a data entry template. Data entry templates establish field order, hide and show certain columns, and can pre-fill values. So we do have some values pre-filled here, for example, study ID. The nice thing about pre-filling values is that you do have the option to fill in using formulas. So the BSI ID is assigned via a specific formula. The date received is going to fill in with whatever today's date is. Data can be added via a few different methods. You can type using your keyboard. You can import any sort of delimited file you might have, scan, use a tool called mass change, and select from code list. So let's go ahead and do both mass change and a code list. Code lists are just going to be lists of acceptable values. So here we have a list for the different material types available in this database. This is another user configurable list, so you can expand upon this and add whatever values you need to. Let's go ahead and add whole blood. And then mass change is a tool that can apply a certain value to everything that you've selected. So I'm just going to go ahead and select whole blood again for the rest of these. BSI also includes the ability to track subject data. So we do have subject fields. Let's fill out a subject ID using that mass change again, and select this icon here to create or edit a subject. This brings up a subject table. So these fields are separate from the vial table. These are on a more secure level, and you do need to be given explicit permission in order to access this data. These fields can be universal or study specific. If the fields are universal, they can be auto-repopulated across different studies. And the information being tracked here is just something that I set up. So this, again, is user configurable. I just have date of birth, blood type, country of origin. BSI also includes the ability to track consent forms for patients. And any kind of information that you might track about subjects is going to be linked back to the specimens that it belongs to. So let's save this without making any changes and close out of it. So just like I was able to create custom fields for those subjects, I can also create custom fields on the vial level. So anything that you might need to track related to vials, you can definitely add on the fly. You don't need a developer in order to do this. BSI also includes the ability to print labels straight from the system. So typically we do recommend purchasing a third-party software in order to actually create label specifications. We recommend Bartender or CodeSoft. But once you have that set up, you can print labels straight from BSI. The last step in this data entry process is going to be checking errors. So BSI does include the ability to check errors. For example, if I type nonsense in here, it will throw an error down here in the table. I'll just Control-Z that. All right, so let's commit this batch. I do want to note that though we did create this batch straight from locations today, users do have the ability to open up a new data entry batch straight from our data entry manager, as well as via a few different other methods. So now we can see that these specimens were committed into the spaces in the box. Let's go ahead and process these specimens in a requisition. So there are several different options for pulling specimens into a requisition, including searching on them, scanning them, and also the right mouse button option in locations. I do want to point out that there are a few what I would call one-click requisition options here, and those will allow you to complete one task right from this manager from the get-go. So let's go ahead and right-click Requisition Specimens. This Requisition Specimens option will pull up a requisition batch and allow you to apply multiple tasks and task templates if needed. So now our requisition is open. A requisition is a point-in-time set of processes that are performed on a selection of specimens. So we have several options for how these processes can play out. Users have the option to add tasks one at a time or apply set workflows via what we call requisition task templates. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So let me go ahead and select my template. And what we can see happens here is that a set of tasks are automatically applied and begun based on the criteria that I have established in my template. So I have the aliquot task that is already begun, and I've said how many children I'd like to create per parent. And we have these draft stage or intermediate green children down here that will eventually be returned back to the freezers. So let's go ahead and complete the first task, which is the aliquot task. This brings up the child completion dialog, where we are required to fill in some additional values for the children, which are marked here in green. So let's go ahead and copy from parent some of these values. And then for volume, I would like to just select my children. So I'll use this Select Children tool here and Mass Change. Another nice tool that we do have available in this dialog is the ability to subtract child value for volume. Additionally, within this dialog, we could print labels, assign locations, and perform a few additional actions. I'm just going to go ahead and commit these. Okay, and now this aliquot task is completed. So based on that criteria that I set in the template, I said that once the volume goes to 0, I want to empty out these parents. So I'm just going to complete this task. When I complete this empty task, a few things are going to happen. First, this file status is going to go to empty, and then the locations associated with these files are also going to get blanked out and removed. So the locations are over here, and that's going to free up those spaces in the freezer. I'm going to mark as completed. I do also want to point out that a lot of tasks can be scanned to be completed as well. All right, and our last step is just to return these child specimens back to the freezer. Before I do that, I do want to point out an additional piece of functionality that is available within this manager, and that is discrepancy tracking. So if you encounter any discrepancies on your files while you're processing them, you can easily right-click and add a discrepancy. This will be kept in the audit history, and you can refer back to it at a later point in time. So I'll just right-click and mark as completed. Within this dialog, you can update many values, including thaw value and location. So I'll go ahead and reassign the locations for these child specimens. And let's go ahead and just put them straight back in that box 20. And I'll go ahead and commit this. And there you have it, the workflow is completed. So let's go ahead and move over to the Reports Manager, where we can talk about reporting on specimens. Reporting is available via right mouse button option throughout the system, but we also have a devoted Reports Manager. Right now we're in my folder. You can see that I have a few saved reports in here. You can run several different types of reports from this manager, including the quick search, which would run like a keyword search, or if we click new here, they have canned or standard kind of pre-made reports, and down here we have user-defined custom reports. Security features also apply to the reports manager, so users can only view and report on specimens or subjects that they actually have explicit access to. So let's go ahead and open up one of these predefined canned reports. This is the unoccupied file space report. First, we can select an output type. So there are several different output types available for this particular report. Let's go ahead and select PDF. And then we can go to the Search tab. So here we need to search on the container that we would like to display in the report. So I'm going to search on demonstration repository, which is the repository that I am currently in, and freezer 1. So standard reports will have predefined display fields. Occasionally, they will also run more complicated searches in the background. Let's go ahead and run this report. And this pulls up the report output for this particular freezer. So here we have the different freezer, rack, box, and container information, and then capacity, occupied spaces, and unoccupied spaces. So this is an example of a canned report. And now we can run a saved report from my folder. So we'll go ahead and open up this material types in demonstration repository. Again, we have the different output types available from here. Let's go ahead and run this in the interactive table output type. Interactive table reports will open up straight in BSI. Let's hop over to the Display tab. So in this particular report, we're going to display material type and repository, but you have a lot of flexibility in what you're going to display. You can display count and list versions of a report, and you can also report on basically any piece of information in the system. So if we go down to all display tables, there are over 200 tables available for display within BSI. So if we open up any of these, there are additional fields that can be reported on. So again, full audit history, full Boolean logic searching. It's very, very robust. Let's go to the search tab. And here we're searching on repository equals demonstration, which again is that repository that we currently reside in. When you run the report, here it pulls up the different counts and material types in the demonstration repository. The nice thing about custom reports is that you are also able to display them on your dashboard. So down here is a pie chart version of that report that we just ran. This concludes the demonstration for the BSI client. Thank you so much for watching. We very much look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.